sausage. Lodge members would work tirelessly for days, preparing the food and decorating the hall in preparation of the event. Unfortunately, this year's dinner dance could not be held for obvious reasons. However, the tradition of and celebration of Pust was not to be forgotten. Club Slovenia, whose purpose it is to promote and preserve the Bay Area's Slovenian culture and heritage, has annually held an evening gathering also around this time of year in honor of Slovenian Cultural Day, where members and guests would listen to presentations on subjects such as Slovenian art, culture, history, music, and other Slovene topics of interest. This year, it was decided that for Cultural Day, we celebrate the Slovenian Festival of Pust, and we have assembled a talented group of presenters and musicians who will thoroughly entertain and enlighten you. I hope you will learn something about Pust that you didn't know before, and I also hope that at this time next year, SNPJ Lodge 304 will be back making blood sausages and preparing the hall for the annual Pust dinner dance, just as they have done for many years past. It is now my pleasure to welcome our host, Joseph Antolin, who will introduce to you our presenters. Enjoy the program.
Okay, dobrodošli vsi, ne? Še me ne vidite. I think I'm still off camera.
You're good, Joshua.
Yeah, okay, very good, thank you. Dobrodošli vsi naši prvega virtualna pustovanje iz San Francisca. Pozdravljen, živijo, zdravijo, Bog daj. Vendar pozdravite prijatelji. However you greet your friends, welcome. Just a few notes as we go through. The show is being recorded and we'll send out a link to all who have logged on in the early next week. And if you would, in the chat feature, say hello to friends that you might see in the participants list. And perhaps share a favorite Pust memory. As we have done in the past at all of our traditional gatherings at the hall, we always start our celebrations with the United States national anthem. I present Diana Gramet. Diana Vier Gramet. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, somewhere along the line, my video is not working the way it wants to or should be. Let's see if there's an image of me somewhere there. Thank you. Thank you, Diana, for that. And now I want to introduce Alyosha Ravnik, who arrived in the United States as a young man from Slovenia. He's been involved with celebrations of the Slovenian community for many years. He's been a leader of the vocal performances at Slovenian Hall for as long as anyone can remember. And he will sing for us the Slovenian national anthem, Zdravljica, the lyrics which were written by the Slovenian poet and national icon, France Prešeren. Alyosha.
Živela si narodi, ki hrepedo čakat dan, tako vrh sonce hodi, prepir moj sveta pregnan. Horojak, rozpovsak, ne vrak, ne sosed bomejak. Horojak, rozpovsak, ne vrak, ne sosed bomejak, ne sosed bomejak.
Got to get the audio on. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Alyosha. Now we're going to travel to Lodi, California for an introduction of Pust food and wine pairings by William Carson, a winemaker who was inspired by Slovenian wines, a passion he developed while living in Slovenia for 11 years. He was the guest of honor at the Trgat of Stara Trta in Maribor. William?
All right, you guys hear me? I don't know, I hope.
We can hear you.
So, all right, good. All right, so yes, this Pust or Shrovetide food and wine, I wanted to talk a little bit about why the certain foods are eaten during this time, because it has some connection to history, and then also talk about some wines that are common in Slovenia that go well with these different foods. So we'll start here with it in English here. Winter food in Slovenia is quite greasy, and Shrovetide food is no different. Other than the religious meaning, Shrovetide represents the change from winter to spring. In the past, when there were no refrigerators and before the warm spring weather occurred, people had to finish eating the winter food which hadn't been conserved so it wouldn't go bad. This explains why Slovene tables during Shrovetide were laid out so richly, because during the fast which immediately followed, meat couldn't be eaten. Typical Shrovetide food includes grilled sausages, blood sausage, ribs, bacon, sauerkraut, sour beets, potica with cracklings, and of course, donuts filled with marmalade. So which wines that are common in Slovenia go well with each of these foods? So with grilled sausage, ribs, and bacon, you can have a nice Pinot Noir, or Modri Pinot, as they say. With blood sausage, you can have a nice big red Terano from Kras. With your sauerkraut and sour beets, you have Kerner. And with your dessert, your potica with cracklings and your donuts, your krofi filled with marmalade, a sweet Rhine Riesling, or Renski Riesling, as they would say. So here we go. You can listen to my American accent as I read the Slovene version. So, pustna hrana in vino. Zimska hrana v Sloveniji je precej masna in pustna hrana ni nič drugačna. Razen verskega pomena, pust predstavlja spremembo od zime do pomladi. V preteklosti, ko ni bilo hladilnikov in predno je nastopilo toplo pomladno vreme, so morali ljudje pojesti zimsko hrano, ki je niso konzervirali, da se ni pokvarjala. To razloži, zakaj so bile slovenske mize v pustnem času bogato obložene, saj mu je post, ko se mesa ni smelo jesti, nemudoma sledil. Tipična pustna hrana vključuje pečenice, krvavico, rebrca, slanino, kislo zelje, kislo repo, potico z ocvrki in seveda krofe. Torej, katero vino s katero hrano? Pečenica, rebrca, slanina, modri pinot, krvavica, kraški teran, kislo zelje in kisla repa, kerner, in potica z ocvirki in krofi, sladki renski riesling. Hvala, dober tek in na zdravje, uživajte v pustu.
Thank you, William, for that. You know, some may think of Facebook as a problem, but I've found that it can be a great resource to meet family and friends in Slovenia. And may I introduce my Facebook friends and maybe some kind of extended family from Beltinci, Tjasa Kovacic and Miha Kovacic.
Hello.
Hello.
Pozdravljen.
Pozdravljeni.
Hello from Murska Sobota, Prekmurje.
We are both members of group Ethnotrip. And because of this COVID situation, we weren't been able to get together with the band. So we recorded our song, Srce. Srce is a song. The text was written by Dušan Šarotar, who is a famous writer in Slovenia. We hope you probably know him also. The song was recorded in our living rooms. We really hope you enjoy it. Actually, this is a different song. This is the other one. I just introduced the song with the title Srce, Ethnotrip.
Do you have the link that you can add to the chat by any chance?
Yes.
Yes, just a second.
Alas, the challenges of having a cross-continent Zoom.
Thank you, hvala.
Yeah. Hvala s vami tudi. Hvala, hvala. That was just wonderful. The front room recordings continue. It was lovely.
Joshua, shall we play their second song?
Yes, let's do that. Since we have that available. Tjasa, would you introduce the Primorska?
Yes, this second song is more traditional. It's like, you know, Kuciprova banda, Beltinska banda. You notice this big instrument. It's a folk instrument from Hungary and from our region, Prekmurje. The song is called Irmica. It's a woman's name, and it's about
two young people who spend the night together. The father accused the daughter that she slept with someone in the barn, but she denies it. And 9 months later, there comes a baby. This big instrument, which you see in the middle, is cymbals. So it's a traditional instrument, as Miha said, from Hungary, but it's also played in Prekmurje. Just few people know how to play it.
This is also an instrument that is very common in the Appalachian music. And here it is called a hammer dulcimer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leżala
Ja, aplauso seskos, vse okrog. Aplauso vse okrog. Hvala
Thank
za
you.
to.
Hvala.
Hvala, da ste bili z nami in upam, da še enkrat se pridružimo. Thank you so
Hvala.
much. Chris Shobar, president of the local lodge of SNPJ, is a participant of the Slovenian language classes and a member of the Slovenian Hall Board of Directors. He has long ties with the hall, with his family. He'll give us some stories of Pust at the Slovenian Hall in San Francisco over the last many years. Chris?
Thanks, Joseph. That's a tough act to follow, but hopefully this will be interesting. Julio, I am Chris Shobar from SMPJ Lodge 304 in San Francisco, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about the history of Pust specifically at the Slovenian Hall. This is not the first time we've had to cancel the dinner, but we're disappointed nonetheless that we cannot celebrate in person with you. Lodge 304, we've been hosting this dinner since probably the late 1930s, and except for a hiatus during World War II, the celebration has been held almost nearly continuously. Okay, next slide, please. Originally, there was no sit-down dinner. Okay, we can go to the next slide for that. And many of the participants would come in costume. Instead of krvavica, the main dish was krainska chlebasa from Jelnik's store up the hill from the hall. Prizes were even awarded for the best costumes. In the 1950s, the celebration moved to a sit-down dinner format, and dressing up in costume seems to have faded away. That maybe it's time for this to resurrect this tradition. Maybe not. In 1965, Elfie Krisha took over the job of head cook from Anna Baric, affectionately known as Mama Baric. And it was at this time that Elfie introduced homemade krvavica, or blood sausage, that's become such a favorite and anticipated dish on the menu. Today, our head cook is Robin Talmadge. Our menu basically consists of a traditional Slovene Pust dinner, including krvavica, or blood sausage, svinska pechenka, for those of you that don't like blood sausage, which is roast pork, kislo zelje, sauerkraut, and pražen kropia, fried potatoes. Next slide. And although it's traditional to have krofi at Pust, we end the meal with, of course, potica. Next slide. The night always ends with dancing to live polka music. And I have to say, today, Pust is still one of the most well-attended events at the hall. It's not unusual for have people to come from across the country to attend. Reservations often meet the hall's capacity, and we've had to actually turn away people. Next slide. I wanted to share a little bit with you about what goes on behind the scenes. Preparation for Pust starts the week before. Our colleagues from the Fontana Lodge join us the Thursday for a long, tiring, and fun day. The day starts at about 4 a.m. We're cooking rice and roasting pork for the sausage. Then we grind the meat, mix the filling, and start stuffing. We typically make somewhere around 600 pounds of sausage. Next slide, please. If we are lucky, we finish in the early afternoon. We then sit down together for an afternoon meal to sample our work. Next slide. Like all events at the Slovenian Hall, this is a family affair. We couldn't put this on with all the help from our family and friends. And on a personal note, my sons, they're about to become the 5th generation of my family to participate in putting on events at the hall. Okay, next slide. On behalf of SMPJ 304, again, we're sad we cannot meet in person this year, but we are hopeful and we plan to celebrate with you in a non-virtual format next year. Hvala in se vidimo prihodnje letno. Joseph, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see if I can get a video this time. Somewhere around. One of my video screens should work. Okay, there we go. Well, thank you, Chris, for that. It's a great stories and it's a great time. Our next presenter, Fred Mlakar, was born in Chisholm, Minnesota, and is a third-generation accordionist and the grandson of Slovenes who migrated there to work the iron mines. In the 1960s, his family moved to Fontana, which is located in Southern California's Cucamonga Valley, then the site of the world's largest vineyard. Fred will perform his original Girl from Cucamonga, which contains references to that area. But the girl, he insists, is strictly fictional. Fred?
Under the gaze of old Mount Baldy, twisted vines of Zinfandel soak up the lazy, hazy sunshine. There lives a girl I don't know well. She belongs to another. Oh, how I wish that she were mine. Until then, I'm taking comfort in some Cucamonga wine. She can dance with wild abandon and sing as sweet as muscatel, like the winds of Santa Ana. Oh, how she has me in a spell. She doesn't know how much I love her and how I wish that she were mine. What can I do but have another glass of Cucamonga wine? She is as pretty as a poppy, with wavy hair of Chardonnay. Her smile's intoxicating. I wish I didn't feel this way, but she belongs to another. Oh, how I wish that she were mine. Until then, I'm taking comfort in some Cucamonga wine. Thank you, Club Slovenia, and greetings to everybody from Southern California.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That was a fun little song, and that's an original. So we can do that very well. Well, continuing with our Southern California connection, I want to introduce Lisa Vidergar Lucas and Frank Vidergar. Originally from Fontana, Lisa and her brother Frank for many years performed in the Vidergar family band with their father Frank, an awesome button box player who performed at our Slovenian Hall many times over the years. Lisa now lives here in the Bay Area while her brother Frank resides in Denver, Colorado. Frank and Lisa recorded a song you are about to hear via digital file sharing, which is a challenge. Frank playing the button accordion and Lisa adding her beautiful vocals. The song Raj pod Triglavjem was originally recorded by Lojza Slak, which translates to Heaven Below Triglav, referring to the beauty of Slovenia. Her mother, Mary Lou, is an active member in our SF Slovenian community. Lisa and Frank. Okay, thank you so much for that lovely, lovely rendition of that Lojza Slak song. Like a true Slovenka, Natasha Ravnik is multi-talented, studious, and creative. Her father, Dr. Anton Ravnik, comes from Kanal ob Sochi. Her roots in Primorska date back to the 1600s. Natasha is writing the book about her family's migration story and her ancestry. And she obtained her Slovenian citizenship in 2020. Natasha.
Hello.
We can hear you and see you.
Great. Goody. Okay. Pozdravljeni in dobrodošli družina in vsi prijatelji po svetu. Jaz sem Natasha Ravnik in bom govorila o pustovanju na Primorskem. Hello and welcome family and friends to this celebration. My name is Natasha Ravnik, and I'm going to be speaking about Pust in Primorska. The most famous Pust celebrations in the Primorska area are in Lig, Drežnica, and Sirkno. Next slide, please. Drežnica and Drežniške Ravne are known for their elaborate Pust costumes, masks, and customs. The Pustne maškare are divided into two groups, Talepi, or the beautiful ones, and Tagrdi, the ugly ones. Next slide. Talepi are the good luck bearers. These beautiful ones visit households bringing good luck and receiving treats. Next slide. Tagrdi are Drežnica's monsters. During Ravnici Pust, young unmarried men dressed as Tagrdi, or the ugly ones, fill socks with ashes and dust boys as they run through town as an initiation to manhood. These rituals are considered so important that they were featured in National Geographic last year. Next slide. Pust is also very special in the town of Lig, which is a little settlement just above Canal of Sochi, where my father is from. Pust in Lig is unique for its masquerade masks, which are made by skilled craftsmen of sheet metal rather than wood. Next slide. Perhaps the most well-known Pust festival in Primorska is found in Sirkno. This is the Laufaria festival. The term Laufaria comes from the German verb laufen, which means to run. And this denotes the Laufar, or carnival characters, who run around the festival constantly. The origins of these costumes and customs are unknown, but they are thought to be originated from pre-Christian pagan times in the 13th century. Next slide, please. There are now 26 characters in the Laufaria family. Most of them represent different seasons, such as winter or spring, trades, or poking fun at the townspeople. Next slide. Pust is the villain of the Laufaria festival in Sirkno. He represents all things bad, the cold of winter, and he must be executed. Pust is put on trial to die so that spring can return. Next slide. All of the Laufars, or characters, are made fresh each year of natural materials. Pust is made of moss. The tasmareko, or the spruce, is made of hand-sewn fresh spruce twigs or branches. Next slide. No wandering about in this festival. Pohokovanie ni dovoljeno. So laufati also translates to pohajkovati in Slovene, which means to wander around aimlessly. In this photo, a stara mama drags a young boy who has been caught loafing about. Next slide. The ivy and the daisy. The ivy laufar Tabriciano signifies the return of spring. His costume is made of 10,000 hand-sewn ivy leaves. Next slide. The masks of Sirkno are made by hand from wood of the linden or the lipa tree. They are designated protected on the UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage because they are so special. Next slide. Thank you. These cultural traditions are passed on from generation to generation along the male line. Older gentlemen guide the young men gathering the materials, and they make the masks and their costumes by hand each year, thereby preserving their culture. Next slide. Now that we say goodbye to Pust, we say na svidenje Pust, so that spring can be returned. Prišla bo pomlad. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Lisa Vidergar Lucas, and you heard me a little earlier performing a duet with my brother Frank. Thank you, Natasha, for that wonderful presentation about Pust in Primorsko. Now we'll point the camera to Slovenia, where it's my pleasure to introduce my cousin, Eric Prašnikar, who is an accomplished musician from the Istrian Peninsula of Slovenia, part of Primorsko. First, Eric will give us an introduction in English, followed by a performance sung in Slovenian by his wonderful vocal group, Klapa Semikanta.
Dobar dan. Hello everyone. I'm Eric and I'm a singer in the vocal band Klapa Semikanta from Koper. This is a town in Slovenian Istra, which is a region in the southwest Slovenia and the northern part of the Istrian Peninsula. We have a 43 kilometers long coastline. We have a historical town and villages. We have the port of Koper, one of the largest in the Adriatic Sea. Today the Istrian Peninsula is divided between three countries, Slovenia, Croatia and Italy. And because of this, and because of history, this area is also multicultural and multilingual. And most important, Slovenian Istra is very famous for its good wine, great olive oil and authentic local people. We, of course, love it and like to sing about it. You will hear and see everything I just said in our song called Your Beauty. Lepe pozdravi iz Istre našim rojakom v Ameriki in povsod po svetu.
Pred tabo stoji, obljubo drži, da si zame prva v nizu te mlade noči. Tvoji ljudje zavedajo se, tvoja lepota v soncu žari, prelepa si ti. La mia bella Istria, biser mojega srca. Zajadral bom z jugom v svoj rojstni kraj, ta pesem me vodi v istarski raj. La mia bella Istria, biser mojega srca. Zajadral bom z jugom v svoj rojstni kraj, ta pesem me vodi tebi nazaj. Pred tabo stoji, na tvojih tleh, če kdaj te zapustil bom in odšel, storil bom greh. La mia bella Istria, biser mojega srca. Zajadral bom z jugom v svoj rojstni kraj, ta pesem me vodi v istarski raj. La mia bella Istria, biser mojega srca. Zajadral bom z jugom v svoj rojstni kraj, ta pesem me vodi tebi nazaj. Ta pesem časem ne vodi tebi nazad. Pred tabo stoji, obljubo drži, da vedno ponosen bo mi nasmejan tvoj sin Istrija.
Wow, fantastično.
That was just beautiful. Thank you so much, Eric and Klapa Semikanta, for participating in our celebration today. Next, due to his work schedule, my brother, Frank Vidergar Jr., couldn't join us live today, but he sends his regards to all of you. Via video, Frank will play Sandra's Polka, a snappy tune written by American Slovenian polka pioneer, Dr. William Laushi, aka Doc Laushi.
Okay, thank you, Frank, for that. And now we're going to travel from the Primorska to learn about Pust in the Nordranska Černica region from San Francisco's Paul Colfer, who has lived on Potrero Hill near Slovenian Hall since 1981. Although he is a quarter Slovene, his maternal grandmother was born in Slovenia, he never knew much about the history of the hall or the Slovenian community in San Francisco until 2015, when he was preparing to visit Slovenia for the second time. He was delighted to see in the local newspaper that Slovenian language classes were being offered and signed up for Miha class and the rest is history. Paul?
Thank you, Josia. And I'm very pleased to see today that we have a lady watching who lives in Hibbing, Minnesota, which is where my grandmother settled after she moved to this country. With regard to Pust in Cerknica, during each Shrovetide season, Pustni Čas, Cerknica traditionally organizes famous carnival festivities. During this time, the city changes its name to Butale, and the inhabitants are called Butalci. If you could advance the slide, please, until we get to the first picture. Thank you. Ursula, the mother witch, Čarovnica, is the first big carnival figure to appear at the Cerknica Carnival. Because witches meet and cook up storms, Butalci ask the Great Mother Ursula to provide good weather, lepo vreme, during that part of the year. Please advance to the next picture. Pikes, shchuke, are a popular fish that are found in Lake Cerknica, Cerkniško jezero, which is one of the largest intermittent lakes in Europe. The lake fills up after long precipitation periods, but seeps underground during the dry season. Please go on to the next, yes. Frogs, žabe, are one of the most prominent representatives of the nearby lake fauna. The most beautiful and largest of them is part of the carnival of Cerknica. And on to the next picture, please. The dragon, Zamai, is a very important animal, žival, for the people of Butale. It is even in their coat of arms, grb. The dragon supposedly resembles the mayor's mother-in-law, Tjasa. And on to the next picture. The mayor, Župan, of Butale is the main Butalec. He is the main one because his head is the biggest and he covers it with a hat, kapa, to make it look even bigger. As you can see, humor is a large part of Cerknica's carnival festivities. And let me just end by saying Veselo Valentinovo to all of you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for that. Let's see if I can get a video. There we go. Something showing here. All right. Now we're going to feature a Slovenian recording artist whose first big hit was Brez ljubezni mi živeti ni, which was followed by an illustrious touring and recording career. She now calls Northern Nevada, that is around the Lake Tahoe area, her home, and she continues to perform regularly with her own band and ensembles. It's my pleasure to present Slovenian recording sensation Moni Kovacic.
Halo prijatelji, me slišite? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. Lep pozdrav, tu je Moni Kovacic iz Amerike in sem zelo vesela, da lahko danes za vas malo zapojem in da vas malo vidim iz tujine. Imam svojo Slovenijo tu v Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Hello, friends. I'm Moni Kovacic, a Slovene pop singer, and I'm in Lake Tahoe, Nevada, even though I carry Slovenia with me everywhere. I'm delighted this year to participate in this virtual event to celebrate Pust and my favorite holiday, Valentine's Day. For all of our listeners out there, I would like to present a lovely song that I first sang when I was only 17 at the Coastal Festival of Melodie, Moria and Sonza. That is in Porto Rojo. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it. For today, of course, I hope everyone is enjoying their heart holiday, because that is a lovely day to celebrate as well. And Pust has always been my favorite when I lived in Slovenia until I was about 20. It is my pleasure to present this song, a live performance I did in Cankarjev Dom in Ljubljana with the acclaimed folk group Prifarci. And the song was written by Milan Ferliš. It is titled Nasmeh poletnih dni, or The Smile of a Summer's Day. And upam da se vidimo kmalu ali v Sloveniji ali v klubu Slovencev tu v San Francisco. I hope to see you soon, either in Slovenia or at the Slovenian Hall in San Francisco, which has become very dear to me. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Dežela i san, poletje je kakor mati, v naročje toplo vabi nas vse, ki smo osamljeni, našli se tu, ob rdečem vinu, pesmi kitar, čarobna luna ob morju, da vsak od nas si zdaj najde kvar, živi kot v pesmi stari. Nasmeh poletnih dni, ko si mlad, je svet poln radosti. Poljub poletnih dni je vabilo svet ljubezni. Življenja. Ob rdečem vinu, pismi kitar, čarobna luna ob morju, da vsak od nas si zdaj najde kar, živi kot v pesmi stari. Vsi skupaj zdaj! Nasmeh poletnih dni, si mlad, je svet poln radosti. Poljub poletnih dni je vabilo v svet ljubezni. Nasmeh poletnih dni v srcu poje sto kitar noči. Čas življenja. Še mal. Nasmeh poletnih dni, ko si mlad, je svet poln radosti. Poljub poletnih dni je vabilo v svet ljubezni. Nasmeh poletnih dni v srcu poje sto kitar.
Thank you, Moni. Thank you, Moni. That was just lovely, just lovely. We're going to continue our tour of Slovenia with Pust in Prekmurje. Okay, we're going to continue our tour. I'm sorry, we have Anja Page traces her roots to Prekmurje She is the president of the board of directors of the Slovenian Hall and a participant in the Slovenian language classes. Anja, teach us something new.
Hello. I think that Juan is working on pulling up the slides. There we go. Hvala lepo, Josef. Živio. Ja sam Anja. Next slide, please. Most of you have probably seen the flyer for today's event. It featured this photo, Kurentovanje by Aleš Kravos, an 11-day Pust celebration and a variant of Carnival. The Kurentovanje is firmly anchored in Slovenia's cultural heritage with long established folk traditions around the seasonal shift from winter to summer. The various traditions of the Kurentovanje signify a time of spiritual transition and the transformation from dark to light. The Kurent is the focal point in this variant of Pust, a mystical figure, a folk custom, and part of the traditional annual Carnival. He is driven to scare away the forces of winter while bearing welcome to spring, abundance, and happiness. Next slide, please. The Kurentovanje is most popular in the regions surrounding Ptuj, the oldest town in Slovenia, which is located in the far northeastern part of the country along the Drava River. You can see Ptuj marked at the top right of the map. With the intent of preventing the disappearance of the Kurentovanje customs and traditions as practiced in the villages of northeastern Slovenia, the idea to hold an organized Kurentovanje festival came about in the 1950s. On the 27th of February in 1960, the first officially organized version of the Kurentovanje festival was held in Ptuj. The annual event is now internationally recognized and celebrated. In February of 2020, before the pandemic, the 60th Kurentovanje in Ptuj included over 7,000 participants from 16 countries and over 100,000 visitors. Although the festival has gone virtual this year, the popular celebration has an extensive online presence through which we can see the traditions practiced in past events. Next slide, please. And you can go ahead and start the video. In this video from the official Kurentovanje website, you'll see the procession crossing the bridge over the Drava River and moving through the streets of Ptuj. The Kurent is the main character in the story, a demon who chases winter away and heralds the return of spring. Kurenti have a very specific customary appearance, the variations that mark their specific villages. They're shaggy, sheepskin-covered, horned creatures with long, red patterned tongues sticking out, white beans as teeth threaded on string, colorful ribbons streaming from above their heads, feathers, wooden clubs in their hands, and massive cowbells tied around their waists. They run, jump, and dance to frighten and chase away dark forces, evil spirits, and bad omens. Many of the other key Carnival figures Paul mentioned earlier can also be seen in this video: the devil, the gypsy, the old woman, the bear, and more. The Kurentovanje festivities include masks, costumes, dancing, music, and many traditional foods. Traditionally, Kurenti make their way around the villages, visiting homes door to door, and making noise to scare away the winter. As they come to the houses to bring good luck, they are offered food and drink as tokens of appreciation. To preserve the tradition, in 2017, these door-to-door rounds of Kurenti were placed on UNESCO's list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. That's the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. And you can go ahead and go to the next slide. And you can see and hear the Kurenti in this short video from the I Feel Slovenia website. echo the Coravante traditions in your own home this year as we come together online instead of in person. Take a bit of time to create some horns or another part of the mask that speaks to you. Stick out your tongues and ring a bell to drive away the winter blues. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Lovely introduction to Kurintavanya. I've always wanted to get a hold of one of those costumes, but I'll have to go to Slovenia to get one, I think. It's time to feature a musical presentation that I would characterize more as a hybrid, that is, from a local Cajun accordion player with Slovenian heritage and her fiddler husband. They've been performing a daily front porch concert and sharing a song on Facebook since the Bay Area shelter-in-place order went into effect in March of 2020. So I think they are on their 330 plus video. It's my pleasure to introduce Blair Kilpatrick and Steve Tabak, who will be playing the traditional Louisiana Mardi Gras song with a Slovenian twist. Blair and Steve.
Blair and Steve, we're ready for you.
Oh, all right. Okay. We didn't know if you could see us. Well, thanks, Yoje. Hi. Steve and I are dressed as we might if we were performing in normal times with our Cajun band. And of course, Mardi Gras is a big season for us normally. And Mardi Gras and Pust are also really special to me because even though I grew up in Cleveland and I knew my Slovenian grandparents and we made putitsa every year, that was the extent of my knowledge. And the only way I discovered the Slovenian Hall or the community here was we were playing at a Mardi Gras gig at about 2004, and some dancer friends who knew I was half Slovenian came up and said, "Say, you know, there's a Pust dinner at the hall in San Francisco. Do you want to meet us there?" And I was like, "What?" I knew nothing about that. And I thought this, I hate to say it, I thought the Slovenian Hall was just an abandoned ethnic hall that was used for weddings. Little did I know I'd be here these years later, and a long-term student of me is in language classes, and I'm just very grateful that I found y'all. I wouldn't have been part of a Slovenian community, I think, if that hadn't happened. So this is the traditional Mardi Gras song that everybody plays in the rural celebrations of Mardi Gras in Cajun country, which is the rural area. It is not the fancy stuff in the big fancy stuff in New Orleans. And as I've learned more about Pust, it's startling how much there are similarities in costumes, in the customs of going around house to house. They would ride on horses in Louisiana, and begging for contributions for charity. And that's what this song is about. It starts out in Cajun French and then shifts over into Slovene, incorporating a custom I learned about that exists in one of my ancestral villages. It's called Ponikve. One of their customs is collecting eggs, which we don't think would work in Louisiana on horseback with intoxicated Mardi Gras riders. So this is la chanson de Mardi Gras.
Tout partout, tout autour de moi, ça passe une fois par an, vous demandez la charité, pas tout dit chez les yaïsa, comme pirinots vertu. À la cause prenete, novichanos utimo, à la cause prenete, te pusne mascare.
Thank you, Blair and Steve. Let's see if we got some video. There we go. Hopefully I'm there. That's a wonderful tradition, and it is interesting to see how traditions blend and are similar through different cultures and different backgrounds. So in addition to the food surrounding Pust we learned about earlier, there are must-have baked delicacies that are part of the Pust tradition. And hopefully we'll point our cameras back to Southern California and welcome Svetlana Krhin, who is originally from Ljubljana, for her presentation on krofe, flancati, and miške. Svetlana, are you with us?
Yes, but I don't see myself on the screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. Thank you.
And I can't start my video because
we'll turn that on for you, Svetlana.
Okay, no problem. Okay, hi everyone. Doesn't look good. Let me do this.
You're fading into your background.
That's right. No longer. Okay. So
I'm sorry, we have the we'll change it up. We'll go back to the main PowerPoint one. Just give us a moment. There we go. And
just want to say hello to everyone and thank you for letting me be present today with all of you. What a great group of people. The only problem I have, I get very nostalgic and especially today listening to all of you and the memories that bring me back home. In Slovenian, I would say nostalgia je hudič. It's everyday present every moment. Anyway, a very famous food that we eat in Slovenia during this time of the year are krofi. And as we know, the Pust is the season of krofi. Slovenia is flooded with smell of carnival delicacies, among which krofi have a special place. I remember the fight among our neighbors who would make the better krofi during the Pust. According to the well-known Slovenian ethnologist, Dr. Janez Bogataj, the roots of the donuts go back to Vienna, where they were first prepared by the court cook Cecilia Krumpf. Her balls gradually conquered the entire monarchy. They all loved her krofi. In Slovenia, krofi were prepared and differed slightly from the imperial ones in the method of preparation. Remember, at that time, oil was not very common, or the butter, so they were basically frying it in lard. To tell you something about that lard, even nowadays, people in Slovenia, they're finding out that they're tastier when they're prepared in lard. So I found many recipes on the internet and conversations that the ladies are using lard again. So they were irregularly shaped at the beginning, like claws and so forth. And if they were irregularly shaped, Slovenians call them francli. They say that Pust is greasy around the mouth, which is very true. We saw William presenting his greasy food, and fewer people know that they also have a great symbolic meaning, this greasy food. They attract a bountiful harvest and oops, I lost my thing, but I can present it. And are the last calorie bite before the 40-day Easter fast. So Easter fast starts on Ash Wednesday, and then just about the time before Pust. So when you think of Shrove Tuesday, Pustni Torek, or Mardi Gras in Slovenia, you think of kurenty and donuts, typical desserts eaten all year round, but especially popular during the carnival time. And here is a picture of the coffee that I found on the internet, Dobertik. Everybody makes them in a different way. I make them smaller because I like them in a smaller shape, but I wouldn't mind to have one of these here. I found this very interesting thing on the internet also about coffee. Ne trudi se nikoli ti ne bo uspelo da bi te imeli vsi radi, nisi pustni krov. Which I found out that there is not one person in Slovenia that doesn't like coffee. Many recipes are available on the internet, and after many years in Slovenia, even I try to make them, so I make them every Pustni Torek. So this Tuesday will be, my house will smell of coffee as well. There is another recipe, another version of coffee. It's a mishke or pansli. They're made from a dough similar to coffee, but the shape is different. A little bit variation in the recipe. So Tržaški Slovenci, they call them pansli, but they also prepare special mishke. Those are pansli with a soul, they say. Different kinds of things they can put into the mishke, and they're fried. You can eat them cold or hot. In some parts of Slovenia, mishke are also called pansli. So mishke and pansli actually are the same, just because of their irregular shape of coffee. I was able to pull out some recipe that I really like, and if you ever want to try it, it's available on our PowerPoint. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And the delicious coffee, which I don't think we can get away from them anyway, even if we wanted to. So hold on to your seat as we travel to Dolenska region and learn about Pust in Bela Krajina from Mary Ellen Wolfe. Mary Ellen was raised in Fontana. There seems to be a theme here with Southern Californian Slovenes migrating north. And she's now part of our Slovenian community here. Mary Ellen?
Thank you, Jože. Hello and happy Valentine's Day. I'm happy to be part of today's celebration of Pust across Slovenia and California. And Fred Mlakar, I think this Fontana girl was friends with that Cucamonga girl. My dad's parents, Aloysia Kumpare and Janis Bayuk, came to the US from Bela Krajina in the early 1900s. My time with them as a little child was very short. I've always wondered about my grandparents' families and the homes they left behind. Since it's Valentine's Day, Belokranci say, Sveti Valentin prinese kluče od korenin. Saint Valentine brings the keys to the roots. With the language class offered by Club Slovenia, I now have some of the keys to unlock my roots. I'd like to share with you some pictures of Bela Krajina and their Pust customs, then and now. Our first slide here, Pustovali so tudi u Beli Krajini. They also celebrate Pust in Bela Krajina. This photo is from Drašići, a village in the Metlika area in 1967. I really love the dog dressed up in chicken feathers. Next slide, please. As we've seen, towns and villages across Slovenia take pride in their own particular Pust traditions, but they all have a common goal, pregnati zimo, to dispel winter. Next slide. For Slavic peoples, the new year, Novo Leto, didn't begin January 1st, but around the spring equinox instead. Next slide. In Bela Krajina, long known for its vineyards and flax fields, Pust still signals the start of the new agricultural year and a new circle of life. Festivities are homespun affairs, sometimes literally, and retain remnants of old folk traditions to promote fertility and protect the next crops. Next slide. These are photos of the funeral procession and farewell to Pust held in Chernomel. Here Pust is a straw man representing winter. He is a scapegoat, accused of all vices, found guilty, and after an irreverent prayer, he's burned in the middle of Yuryevanska Draga, where Zeleny Yuri is tossed into the river when spring is in full bloom. Next slide. Vlachenie ploha, pulling the plow is an, oops, can you go back one, please? Pulling the plow is an outmoded custom that targeted the oldest unmarried girl in the village. On the eve of Pepelnitsa, Ash Wednesday, the young unmarried men would furrow the ground and leave a wooden plank or plow by the girl's front door, a bawdy reference to her non-existent bridegroom. Next. An old ritual in Bela Krajina at Pust to protect the next year's grape crop. One hazelwood branch is to be placed in each corner of the vineyard with the pointed end up to stop the birds from eating the grapes. Next. The roots of the grapevines and trees are not the only ones awakening from their winter slumber, though. Kache, snakes, will also soon be coming up from their underworld. Bela Krajina folk wisdom is rich with many potions and charms to perform on Pustni Torek, Shrove Tuesday, to protect from snake bite, though they don't seem to have much power against the snakes at the Pustni Carnival in Metlika. Next. These are just a few of the many ways to keep snakes away, from scattering around leftover bones from dinner on Pustni Torek to smearing the legs of children and livestock with the dregs of the previous night's dishwater on Ash Wednesday morning. My favorite words of wisdom, though, are these. Kacha nas nebo pichila, che vino, ke je ostalo u steklenici pustnega torka, popijemo na pepelnico zjutraj. The snake will not bite us if on Ash Wednesday morning we drink the wine left in the bottle on Shrove Tuesday. Next. The farmers believe that the weather at Pust predicted the fortunes of their next crops. For example, Pust zjutraj oblačen, kmet ajde jesene bolačen. A cloudy morning foretold the buckwheat farmer would go hungry in the fall. But on the other hand, che na pustni dan deži, fijo bogato obrodi. If it rains, the bean crop would be abundant. Next. Industrious farmers' wives, though, had ways to take the matters of the next harvest into their own hands, especially for turnips. Ženske zgodaj zjutraj hodijo po vasi, in od hiše do hiše pojejo ter plešejo za debelo repo. For thick, fat turnips, go around the village from house to house early in the morning, singing and dancing, women only. Next slide. The farmers' wives' advice, though, didn't stop at turnips. Almost every aspect of home and garden was covered at Pust. From travesa o tresa, shaking the plum trees to wake them up, to feeding otzirke, cracklings to the cat to ensure more chicks in the future, to not talking while the krvavice is cooking to keep it from bursting. I don't think that happened at the Slovenian Hall, but they probably still had good sausage. Today's advice, per metliška černina with krvavice. Next. During Pust season, nove metle, new brooms were made with many admonitions to sweep the house multiple times to sweep away all that was bad in the old year. Next. In the area around Adlasici, people gathered at Pust to make hemp ropes. Zganje in vino za lažje delo, brandy and wine for easier work. More workers, more wine. More wine, more workers, more ropes. Držal boleta, they will last for years. The ropes, that is, not the brandy and wine. Next. Today, children in Bela Krajina and throughout Slovenia enjoy Pust much like our kids enjoy Halloween, except with different treats. Kindergartners learn a poem that keeps the spirit of old Pust alive for future generations, featuring, of course, lots of smiles, krofi, and even a bit of meso, meat. Next. We have come full circle with the mashkare we saw at the beginning, now leading the children, od hiše do hiše, house to house, in Drašići. Pustne pesme še vedno odmevajo skozi leta. The carnival songs still echo through the years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Ellen. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. I'd like to introduce my tovarish Udelo, my compatriot in the work of this presentation, John Hutter, who's joining us today without his accordion, but he'll tell us about an instrument and music very unique to Bela Krajina. John?
Well, thank you, Joseph. And before you go away, if we can turn Joseph back on, you're going to introduce all of us later, but on behalf of all of us who've helped put the show together, we want to thank you for coming up with this great idea and leading us into this. So there's a virtual round of applause for you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
great idea. And we're going to be at the hall next year for this, right?
Yes, we are. That's the plan.
Thank you. And I understand Tom Brandy is on. I believe his handle here is host. And Tom, if you would like to come on and say hello. We appreciate all you do for the Slovenian community. Just unmute yourself. Our honorary consul for the Republic of Slovenia, Tom Brandy. Welcome.
I was a little late joining because I'm here in Healdsburg, which is the scene of our statehood parties that many of you attended, the party that seemingly never ends. I think there's a couple people still sleeping here from a couple of years ago, but we've had a lot of fun with it. I went on a long bike ride, and that's why I'm attired the way I'm attired. This has been fabulous. I'm blown away by it. The level of preparation, the quality of the presentations, absolutely fantastic. Boy, my hat's off to everybody, and the diverse Moni, Blair, etc. Anja, the presentation on the donuts, just incredible. And Paul, I can't forget you either. I see your name popped up. Just really, really a great job. And all of you put a lot of work into this, and just terrific. I can't say enough. The other thing that you've really struck a chord on here, I think that in this time of that we're all going through of a pandemic and the inability to reach out and contact, you've struck a chord in our heritage, our DNA, the celebration of life, and finding joy perhaps where others may not see it. And you brought that joy to each other, and you did it today. So congratulations for an incredible performance, and thank you very much for doing this, and have a good time.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate all that you do. You do a fantastic job representing Slovenia here in California. We look forward to your newsletters. We appreciate all the communications you put out. And thank you for being our PR agent for this show.
I like your tie, John.
Hey, from Bela Krajina. And as Joseph said,
where most of us are from.
Yes, you have roots there too.
You mentioned Metlika. One of my grandmothers from Metlika, and my grandfather from Rosnadal.
Well, that is, we're all connected, and there is a high concentration of people here in the Bay Area from Bela Krajina. And today I'm doing something different. I didn't bring my accordion. It's close by, use it later. But my presentation is about a musician and who played a very unique instrument, Tonček flute. And Juan, maybe you can pop up his picture. Tonček was born in 1908 in the village of Mladica pri Semiču in Bela Krajina, the area where my family came from. Gifted with perfect pitch and beautiful, clear, commanding tenor voice, Tonček first began singing in the church choir in Semič. His musical instrument was organic, pressing an ivy leaf against his lips to create a hybrid sound of humming combined with a clarinet combo, very unique. With his then musical partner, Lojza Starts, the duet played countless weddings and veselicas. Tonček was instrumental in forming a cultural group to preserve the traditions of Bela Krajina, the Semiška Ohcet, or traditional old-time country wedding, and other cultural reenactments unique to Semič and Bela Krajina. Today, Tonček's legacy lives on with his two sons, Tona and Slavko, where his birth home was turned into a museum filled with photos and artifacts of his life. Among them are photos including recognition from Slovenia's first president, Milan Kučan, and photos with famous musicians such as Lojza Slak playing homage to Tonček. Tonček's cultural preservation efforts became the seed to create a more formal venue, the Kulturni Dom Semič. Here's a recording of Tonček performing on his peru, as they say in Semič, or ivy leaf, with his son Slavko playing accordion. The song is a Germanic march influenced by the Kočevari or Gočear people who resettled in this area of Slovenia. The history of the Kočevari is a whole other story that we'll talk about next time. That's quite lengthy in its own right. So in the lingo of Semič, gremo napri. I hope you enjoy the video presentation. you enjoyed that presentation in Slovenian, Bršljanu Flist, the ivy leaf by Tonček Plut. And we have many people here in the Bay Area from Bela Krajina, and now I'd like to introduce a real Bela Krajinec, a real Semčar. My pleasure to introduce Jože Fir and his lovely daughter, Diana Fir-Gramet, who led us off with the American National Anthem. Dober dan, nice to see you both, and we look forward to hearing your lovely voices, Diana and Jože. Jože is from the same village as my mother in the Sudjevergradnik section of Semič. Dober dan.
Dober dan, we are so happy to be here with you. And we invite you, please, if you know these next few folk songs, please sing with us. We're going to start with Pojdmo na Štajersko. Let's go to Štajersko. Pojdmo na Štajersko, gledat kaj delajo. Gledat kaj delajo ljubice tri. Prva je kuharca, druga je kelnarca, tretja je ljubica mojega srca. Prva mi jesti da, druga mi piti da, tretja me v kambrico svojo pelja. Well, that was fun, going into the kitchen and getting something to eat, yeah? Now, Slovenski smo fantje. We're not all fantje. Some of us are punce, but that's fine. But we are all of Slovenian spirit. Slovenski smo fantje, prizili doma, prizili doma, prizili doma. Slovenskega duha, slovenska srca, slovenskega duha srca. Mi smo domačini, smo gorke krvi, smo gorke krvi, smo gorke krvi. Za narod živimo, ker bratje smo si, ker bratje smo si. And as our wonderful Natasha Ravnik shared, prišla bo pomlad, springtime will arrive. Prišla bo pomlad, čakal bi jo rad, da bi zdrav vesel, slevno vince pil. To me veseli, travca zeleni, drobna ptičica po poleti. To me veseli, travca zeleni, drobna ptičica po poleti. Prišla kukavca, moja ljubica, in bo kukala in prepevala. Kukala, kuku, prepevala lepo, da bi vedno nam tako lušno bilo. Kukala, kuku, prepevala lepo, da bi vedno nam tako lušno bilo. Now, Ata and I would like to ask you to please raise a glass, because we are honored to share that our beloved Miha Rode celebrated her birthday just a few weeks ago. So raise your glass and join in singing Koliko kaplic, toliko let to our wonderful Miha Rode. Happy birthday, Miha.
Koliko kaplic toliko let, Bog nam daj na svet živet. Živijo, oj, živijo, oj, živijo na svet.
Happy birthday, Miha.
Hvala, to je bilo veliko, veliko nepričakovano presenečenje. Hvala vam. Hvala.
Are you done?
So, thank you very much. Somewhere in here, there should be a video of me. Hopefully there is. I think I've turned my camera on.
We did see you, now we don't see you.
Uh-oh, so what happened now? Well, we've got the poster up. So first of all, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I want to thank David McCormick and Club Slovenia for sponsoring this event. Miha Rodej and the Slovenian language, our Slovenian language educator and cultural advisor. Thank you all for allowing me to host for today. Dr. Toni Ravnik and Ivo Ravnik, Tone, and for photo archive. John Hutter, our show organizer, and Juan Camero, our technical support. And in celebration of all this, I'd just like to add my little bit of musical interlude to it, in that Andrej Schiffer would sing something like Za prijatelje je treba čas vzet, se poveselit in kdaj znat potrpet, najglimo vrčljostjo, kot prej nikoli še, da za prijatelje je dobro le najboljše. So again, our musical, thank you to our musical performers, Tjasa, Miha, and Dani, and Ethnotrip, Moni Kovacic, Fred Mlakar, Blair, Kilpatrick, Steve Tabak, Klapa Semikanta, Lisa Vidergar Lucas, Frank Vidergar Jr., and our presentations from William, Carson, Paul, Colfer, Svetlana Krhin, Anja Page, Natasha Ravnik, Chris Shobar, and Mary Ellen Wolfe. Dave, last words. Dave McCormick, our president of Club Slovenia, our sponsoring organization for today.
Dave, if you can turn on your video.
While we wait for Dave to come up, I just want to remind everybody that we will have a recording of this that'll be sent out in the early next week. And thank you all for being here. I think I saw a participant list of, what did I see? Close to 85 participants or viewers, in addition to our presenters. So it's very, and I want to thank all the long hours of our presenters from the Slovenian language class. Dave?
Okay, thank you. I wish to thank all the performers who helped make this event a rousing success
and offer special thanks to all of you who attended. I hope you enjoyed spending this afternoon with us via Zoom. I also wish to thank our language program director, Miha Rode, for the guidance and encouragement she offered her language class students in their preparation of their presentations. It's so good to have Miha and her wonderful group of students back together at Club Slovenia. Now, before saying our final goodbyes this afternoon, I would like us to take a moment to remember those of our Slovene community who we have lost since we last gathered for Pust in 2020. All were treasured members who will be sorely missed, and our condolences go out to their family and loved ones. Thank you.
And now if everyone could turn their cameras on, and we'll bring back Lisa with her accordion, and we will have a few songs that I know everyone knows to join in. Lisa, if we could turn your camera on, please.
It's saying that the host has stopped it.
Oh. Let's see if we can correct that.
Oh.
There you go. So Lisa, what would you like us to sing?
So I thought we would close it out today with a medley, another medley of traditional Slovenian songs. Mojočka ima, mi se imamo radi, jaz pa ti pa židana marela, hajli, hajlo, and živijo Slovenci. So please dance along, sing along if you know the words, or sing along even if you don't know the words.
Thank you, everybody.
Se vidimo naslednjič. Lep pozdrav iz San Francisco,